Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the two-game the basketball tournament slate here for Monday. Yes, we have basketball back. Not NBA yet, but the basketball tournament, if you guys aren't familiar with this, it's a $1 million tournament, winner take all. A bunch of former college basketball players or, players that just weren't good enough to make the NBA, some playing overseas. There's a few G League players, even a couple that, played on NBA rosters. It's a really, I like that Draftkings included this tournament on here. And yeah, so like I said, we have a two-game slate to break down. Before we get into that, again, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking out NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports sites. Esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and Counter-Strike CSGO. If you guys are interested in CSGO, I know I've taken the last few days off. I was up north on vacation. Going to have a video for the two-game slate right up after this one. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So like I said, really, really excited to talk about some basketball here. So I guess what we can do first is we can look back at my lineup from what was it? Saturday slate when it started? Yeah, Saturday slate. So we had a 4-game slate. So my strategy here was I had a nice day. I didn't play a lot. I only played the big $10 tournament. Won, cash $15. But my strategy here, and it was I thought pretty obvious, was target the teams that are very short-handed. It was clear. It was I even tweeted about it. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, it's in the description below. It says DK__DFS. I tweeted out the rosters and the starting lineups. Normally, they will tweet that out about an hour, 2 hours before game time. Yeah, there is clearly two teams that were very short-handed. The Stillwater Stars, who ended up losing, but had 7 guys. So, yeah, it's safe to say, right? You want to load up on guys like that, whereas other rosters had 10, 11, even 12 guys on their roster. So, the Stillwater Stars and then Payne as well, I think had 8 guys in their team. My strategy was target the starters, obviously, and just play the players on those shorthanded teams. So that's what I did here. I went 3-3 with Payne and the Stillwater Stars, and I played 1 from D2 and 1 from CP3. Mentioned Nate Mason. Someone asked me who was my favorite play. Really, really liked him. He went off for 40 fantasy points. And then also another thing I mentioned was play as many point guards and bigs as possible. In a setting like this, they have the highest floor. So that's like the safest, right? Point guards, obviously, they have a higher floor because of assists, bigs, rebounds, blocks, right? So try to jam in as many point guards and bigs as you can into your lineup. That's what I did. Obviously, I went with the 2-center approach. But yeah, all in all, it was a pretty good day. And let's see if we can keep it going for this 2-game slate on Monday. And also, I also gave some notes for the late slate on Sunday. A guy like Brendan Dawson, right, former MSU basketball player, was really cheap in the 4K range, I think, 4.6. And he was like 20% owned in the main slate. He was a starter. He was killing it. So, yeah, like I said, there's a huge edge in this tournament, in my opinion, for DFS. So let's see if we can keep this winning going for this slate. So, let's go over it. So we have 2-game slate, and we've seen two teams so far. The other 2 we have not. So what we can do here is let's go to Brotherly Love, because this is a team we've already seen. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players on the roster, but looks like only 9 got into the game. So we do have. Let's go over the box score, I guess, for Brotherly Love. So we had Wyatt, Moore, and Newbill all lead the team, right? 27 for Wyatt, 24 for Moore, and 13 for DJ Newbill, the former Penn State product. So let's take a look at their prices, right? So we had Wyatt is priced up $9K, again, for good reason. He went off for 27, 2, and 6. You have Moore, 8.2K, again, kind of makes sense. DJ Newbill, what do they have his price at? He's at 5.1, so better price there. And then the center, Marlon Johnson. Again, they don't have the minutes on here. You can go over to, I'm just looking right now at the TBT, the basketball tournament website.com. They do have some of these stats on the box scores. They don't have minutes. They do have the leading, like, average 5 minutes for the top 5 guys. So we can see who are the 5 guys that played the most minutes. Yeah, right. Marlon Johnson had a decent fancy point game, but didn't play a whole lot of minutes because he didn't make the top 5 here for average minutes, right? So, yeah, it's a little bit tricky, right? There's not a whole lot of information we're going off of, right? They have some stats, but not a lot of them. And again, they don't have the minutes for everyone, so you don't really get a great idea of it. Yeah, I mean, some teams, like I said, will have 7, 8-man rosters. And those are the teams you want to target here. Now, again, Brotherly Love, 11-man roster. They did only run 9-man rotation, and the guy that played the most minutes here was Moore at 35 minutes. They're 9-minute quarters, so he almost played the whole game. Again, DJ Newbill played about 30 minutes, and Wyatt played about 26. So those are the top 3 guys. First, price. I mean, DJ Newbill at 5.1K probably looks the best of those 3 guys, right? Other guys I would have interested in this team, again, maybe Marlon Johnson, but it's a little bit risky just because those minutes, he didn't play a whole lot of minutes. I do want to play Biggs, so I think he is in play. 5.9K is a reasonable price point, but him not being in the top 5 of minutes, right? I didn't get to watch this game, but him not being in those top 5 of average minutes is a little bit worrisome. So he obviously played under 17.7 minutes. But yeah, that's really the breakdown there for Brotherly Love. Let's talk about Eberlin Drive now. So this is a team we have not got to see. They are, I think, 4 or the 5 seed. They're one of the better teams going into this tournament, at least. So again, we haven't got to see this team yet, but they do have some interesting players in this team. Tim Quarterman used to play for the Blazers a little bit. I have interested in him. Let's go over their prices, I guess, first. So right now on DraftKings, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 9 players compared to 11 for Brotherly Love. So it looks a little bit better with a thinner roster. And again, not everyone on the DraftKings team will even be on the roster, right? Some players get COVID or just injuries, right? You won't. So again, it's really important to also follow it on Twitter because they will announce their active roster as well as the starters. So, yeah, but a couple players that do pique my interest here, again, are, let me go to the right page here. Tim Quarterman, he's priced at 6.4K. I think that looks pretty good. For a guy that got some minutes in the NBA, I think that looks like a pretty decent price. JP Mercura, a guy I recognize from Xavier, he was a sharpshooter, 5.8K. Shooting guard is a little bit thin on slates like this, but he's someone that if he's starting, I would like because he can get hot behind the three-point line. So he's someone I have some interest in. If you scroll down a little bit more here, Dusty Hannes, I don't know if you guys recognize that name. If you played NBA DFS, you might, because he actually made the roster for Memphis, I think for only 1 or 2 games, but he was on Memphis's active roster this year. So that looks pretty decent, right? And he's priced all the way down at the cheapest price here, 4.5K. So if Dusty Hannes is starting at that price, I would like him a good amount. And then they do have the most expensive player here is EMMITT Williams. He's a big, which again, I always like bigs, have a higher floor, bigs and point guards. So he's someone that if he's starting, I would assume he would start, right? They look kind of shorthanded for bigs, right? They have him and then Odasi, if that's how you pronounce his name. So it looks like only 2 bigs. So I'd assume if EMMITT Williams picks up a start, he'd probably get some good minutes. He is the most expensive player on this team. So all in all, I think, again, we kind of do have to wait for the starting lineup to come out. But there are some interesting plays here. Again, Williams, Quarterman used to play for the Blazers. JP Mercura, he can get hot behind the three-point line. Also, Dusty Hannes played for Memphis this year. So, yeah, we do have some interesting plays here. And again, we do kind of have to wait for the starting lineups for this team. But that's the breakdown there for the first game. Now let's talk about CP3's team here. So they also already played. Let me get over there. Yeah, so they squeaked by primetime players 76-74. Nate Mason, again, a guy I really liked. obviously stood out. If you're looking just at the box score here, he completely carried this team, 26-2-1. Next highest player there was 12 points. So Nate Mason also played huge minutes, 32 minutes. Again, that's a lot in this tournament, right? 9-minute quarters. So yeah, I do really, really like Nate Mason. I know he's priced way up at 8.6K, but right now he's one of my favorite spend ups. I guess if I'm going to go all the way to the top on some of these guys, right? Who's the highest priced guy? Like 9K, yeah, in that range of guys in like the 8 to 9K range. I think Nate Mason is probably my favorite of those guys. Let's see. So we can also take a look at their average minutes. So who else played some decent minutes for this team, right? So you had C.J. Harris play about 30. Aaron Rountree play about 27. Deontay Baldwin about 24. And then Cody Miller-McIntyre, another name I recognize, 23 minutes. So, I mean, that core of guys played a good amount of the game, right? So I think those 5 guys would be the ones that I have the most interest in on this team. So let's go now back to DraftKings, and let's see where these guys are at. So C.J. Harris, 5.5K for a small forward, power forward. I think that looks pretty good. Like he looks like one of the better value plays in my opinion for a guy that's going to play most of the game and is that cheap. I like him a lot. I think again you have Roundtree played 27 minutes. He's priced all the way down to 4.6K, and maybe not the highest usage guy, right? He had 7 boards. 2 steals, 1 assist, 2 points. But he's going to get decent minutes, and he's at 4.6K, so he's a viable play. Again, Deontay Baldwin played about 24 minutes. He's coming in at 6K. And then you have Cody Miller-McIntyre at 23 minutes. He's coming at 5.4K. So I think those would be obviously the 5 guys I would target on this team. They're a little bit more short-handed. Sam Hunt, I don't even think he played. So that's basically an 8-man rotation, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I want some exposure to the CP3 team. I think they look really good. Nate Mason, obviously, as a spend up, I really like a lot. But a guy like C.J. Harris, Baldwin, Miller-McIntyre, Roundtree are all viable as well. And this team looks to be the team that is the most short-handed on this slate. So yeah, I'm going to want some exposure to this squad. And then finally, let's talk about the Golden Eagles. So a lot of former Marquette players here in this one. Let's take a look at their roster and see how many players they have, right? So they have not played yet. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So that is, I think that was the most. I think them and Brotherly Love both had 11. Not great, right? But we haven't got to see them play, so I'm interested to see who the starters are going to be. Again, we have a lot of former Marquette players on here. I think almost all these guys. Luke Fisher, Aker, Bucks, Chapman, Mo Charlo did not play for Marquette. Neither did Elgin Cook, but Travis Diener, Darius Johnson-Odom, Jameel Wilson, Andrew Rousey, right? So most of this roster, even Derek Wilson, played for Marquette. Yeah, again, I'm interested. I need to see the starters before I can really get into it. But I mean, Jameel Wilson, I know he's priced up at 8K. Elgin Cook at 7.8K. You know, if I was going to pick one of those top 2 guys, probably would be Elgin Cook, just because again, I lean towards bigs and point guards. I want to play a lot of. But really, again, I'm going to wait for a starting lineup in this one. So that's why it's important to follow me on Twitter, guys. This is in the description below. I'll give my thoughts kind of as we get the starting lineup news for the 2 teams that we have not seen play yet. All in all, though, again, I think there is an edge in the basketball tournament DFS. You know, my strategy the first few days have been target the shorthanded teams, get a lot of point guards, get a lot of bigs, right? They have the highest floor, and kind of go from there. So I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Again, those things do really help me out to continue to grow this channel. If you listen to this Apple Podcast, a 5-star rating and review would also be greatly appreciated. Again, if you guys are interested in CSGO DFS, I'm going to have a video up right after this for the 2-game slate. We actually do have, I think, a 20K to first tournament there tomorrow. So I think there's an edge in that one as well. But yeah, thanks again, guys. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you all in the next video.